Hey there, friends, and thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Tony Berardo, and as always, I'm here with my beautiful wife, Brenda. Hello.
Hello. If y'all didn't know, we started a business called MeetCute Box, where we'll send you and your partner a curated date night box every month full of items only from local businesses around the world.
That's right. But on this podcast, we're going to research some relationship advice, give out date night ideas, and much, much more.
Thanks for joining us and hope you'll tell a friend and subscribe.
Well, let's get started, shall we, babe?
Let's.
On this episode, it was a lot of fun because I was actually a guest on another podcast. So we get a chance to talk a lot about MeetCute and how we started and so much more. So I hope you enjoy this. Shout out to Lily, who hosts the Gumption podcast. She's a great host, so make sure you follow her. But enjoy this episode from the Gumption.
So I love a good meet cute as much as the next guy, but this week's guest loved the idea so much that he and his wife created a business out of it. I cannot wait for you guys to hear their inspiring story. Coming to us live from Florida, without further ado, here's Tony Berardo, co-founder of MeetCute Box.
Tony, thank you so much for being here.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
MeetCute Box is a company that I discovered recently, and I personally just think it is one of the most clever, cool ideas I've seen and super meaningful too. So I'm really excited for our listeners to be able to hear more about you and how this all came to be.
Well, that is sweet. Thank you. Yeah, we think it's a pretty good idea, but of course we're biased. So
Of course, like any good business owner is, you gotta believe in yourself before anybody else does, in my experience. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the ins and outs of MeetCute Box.
yeah, again, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Loving the setup. Well done on the podcast setup.
Thank you.
So my name's Tony Berardo. I am in my late 30s, mid 30s. We'll say mid. I'm in my mid 30s and pretty much born and raised in Florida. And I've owned my own company in the past. When I was in my early 20s, that did not work out well because I was in my early 20s and I didn't know how to save money. But, it was a great learning experience. And then I decided to go in the corporate world, and I worked for Fortune 500 companies in sales management and in marketing. And I specialized in marketing, where I traveled the country negotiating contract deals with athletes, event planners.
That's cool.
I learned so much over almost 15 years, really, in sales and marketing. And unfortunately, after a few jobs that went really well, on my last job, I got laid off due to the pandemic.
Ugh.
And it was really hard to hear because it was like one of those phone calls, if anybody could relate, where they go, we hate to do this. And I'm like,
Oh, man.
You got to be kidding me.
That's got to be like the worst way to preface that situation. Like, what's coming after that. It's just all downhill from there.
And by the way, if anybody does like work for a company, just change it up. Like, don't use that sentence anymore, because we all know what's happening. Like, at least, like say something like, Tony, we love you, but, maybe build me up a little bit. I don't know. I'm no expert.
Yeah. Build it up before you crash it down to the ground, for sure.
Give me a compliment sandwich. Give me something. So I got that phone call, but unfortunately that phone call came at a really bad time. Not to get into too much detail, but my wife and I, we dealt last year in particular with some family tragedies. My father-in-law, my mother's father, passed away. And so that happened. And then I was diagnosed with a tumor in my lung.
Oh my goodness.
This was almost 2 years ago. But through a bunch of tests and CT scans stuff, they ended up removing it, but they had to remove a portion of my right lung. So
Wow.
I only have about 75% of my right lung. And then I went through all that. We dealt with all that. And then a couple of days later of me getting discharged from the hospital is when I got that phone call about my job.
Oh my gosh. And, throw in a global pandemic, and that's really just the icing on the cake.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, there has been a pandemic. So that was...
Yeah. In case you haven't heard about that, every single day for the last 3 years of your life.
So long story short, that all happened just in the past year. And I don't really talk about that too much on the website, obviously, because it's, uber depressing.
Yeah.
But
not to be like, yeah, it's depressing. It builds character. And trust me, I appreciate you sharing this
Yeah.
with me, a stranger.
No worries. Well, the reason I like sharing it, because I talk a lot about on my personal podcast as well, but the reason we like to share it is because through all this, adversity and the downfall, I decided to not look for another job. And
Mhm.
I wanted to, like we talked about prior to recording, I have a personal podcast and I have like my notes app. I have an iPhone, and my notes app, I have like 17 ideas, and they've accumulated over a decade. And some of them are like stupid, like things for golfing and like, beer coasters and like some weird ideas that I don't want to share because eventually they might be good enough to open up. So I
Yeah,
want
and you
to.
might need a patent someday, so
That's
don't
right.
don't disclose now.
But one of them in particular was the one that I mentioned on our website at meetcutebox.com. And that is this idea of having a date night subscription box. And my wife and I came up with this idea during the pandemic. But of course, we were both working, so we didn't really follow through with it. But like we
Mhm.
wrote it down, business plan, like what else are we going to do? We're on lockdown.
Yeah.
And the reason we came up with the idea was because we, just like everyone else, couldn't go anywhere. So like our movie date night, or like we used to walk or ride scooters to Yogurtology, which is like a yogurt spot that we have here.
Oh, that's fun.
And we used to go there and we used to get our yogurt and hang out and talk and look at the stars and all that foo crap. But we couldn't do that anymore. And we're like, what are we going to do? So we started thinking of really creative date night ideas that we could just do at home that didn't cost us a lot of money. And then we started writing them down and telling our friends about it. And they're like, this is a really cool date night. Like we're going to do this. And then we go, whoa, we might have something here. And
Yeah.
on top of that, kind of parallel to that, I had a few buddies that own their own businesses, restaurants and things like that. And unfortunately, they had to shut down some of their locations as well due to the pandemic. So we're like, how can we figure out a way to get date nights to couples, but also help local business? Because
Yeah.
it seemed like corporate companies were fine. Like,
Oh, yeah, totally.
yeah, they were laying off employees and they were helping their bottom line, and the VPs were still making money. But like my buddy had to shut down his restaurant, like, because he didn't get a bailout. Like, that's kind of messed up. So
Yeah.
we decided to kind of reach out to local vendors and people at farmers markets and Etsy. And we spent about a year building up a Rolodex of some really unique vendors that, you could see if you follow us on social media at MeetCute Box, shameless plug. So we ended up, getting this Rolodex, and then we put it all together and got incorporated and did all the steps we had to do, build a website, all that jazz, and, open a TikTok and all that stuff. And it took about 18 months, and that's where we're at now. So I personally focus on it more full time, and the wife currently has her full-time job that she's had for years. So we don't want to give that up. And, I've been doing video editing and content creation for quite some time. So I'm a little bit more experienced when it comes to that stuff, which is why
Yeah.
she comes on some podcasts that we do, but we host a podcast together, and that's like the max amount of exposure. She's so introverted. She's so cute, but I'm more the extroverted guy. But yeah, that's where we're at. So we've been open since May, and it's going really well. And we're really excited and very blessed to have the members that we do. And yeah, it's exciting.
That is wonderful. Man, that's just so inspiring to hear, like, out of this time where I feel like so many people have been struggling to, especially helping small businesses too. I have a small business myself. I have a handmade art business where kind of started off just doing commissions for friends and family, and eventually ended up having an Etsy shop for a little while. And I make art. I have an Instagram for that as well. And I know how crucial it is with a small business. Like, one purchase sometimes can help you break even. So I think it's really great that you guys specifically want to highlight all the amazing things that small businesses are doing. And two, like, that just makes it so much more special when you're sharing a date night with someone, to not just patronizing some random like Walmart or whatever, to have something is one of a kind snack or item or something. That's so cool.
That's right. And, we specifically did that obviously to help small businesses, but we found that there was no business out there. I mean, there's so many great subscription box out there. Like, we're fans of them as well.
Mhm.
The Birchbox of the world and the
Oh,
Bark
yeah.
Box and Fabletics and all this stuff. But, unfortunately, you're getting the same thing. Like, it's the same.
Right.
Barkbox, you're getting different things for dogs and stuff. But, at the end of the year, you're going to have 20 dog toys. Like, do you need that many dog toys?
Right.
And
It's a little repetitive.
yeah. And is that the best spend of your money is the most important thing we kind of look at. So when we're doing these date nights, we think, well, what can we give our members that is more residual? Meaning, what can they have that they do an experience, and then maybe that one experience helps that relationship last even longer.
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
even
really
helps
the
them
key is.
discover something maybe they wouldn't have branched out to try as an activity. I think that's really cool.
That's
I want to talk about the name Meet Cute because
right.
I love that term. I'm kind of like a movie buff. I know what the term refers to, but I'm wondering how you guys landed on that term for your business and if it has to do with like the cinematic meaning of it or what was the process of choosing that name?
Yeah, it's a funny story. It's a good question. The name came up. Obviously, my wife is a massive rom-com fan, so I think
As am I.
right? So I think subconsciously it was probably in the back of her head. And, the 10 things I hate about you, and all these
Oh,
other,
yes.
all these other great movies that she's made me watch over the years. So there's always like that meet cute, right? And for people who don't know, meet cute is just that random encounter between two strangers, and long story short, they fall in love at the end. And that's kind of like what a meet cute is. And the reason we landed on that was we kind of met. We met a meet cute way, which was we were in and out of relationships, both of us, and we were just miserable, like a lot of people when you're going through these dating apps or these blind dates and all this stuff. So we ended up meeting a couple times at bars, coffee shops with mutual friends. And I looked at our mutual friend, her name is Ashley, shout out Ashley. And I go, dude, what's up with Brenda? Like I keep seeing her, like, is she dating? Well, she's dating, she's doing. So it never kind of linked up. It never made sense.
Mhm.
And then, one day we ended up meeting at this place called Opa, which is a bar and restaurant in downtown Orlando. And we ended up meeting there with all these mutual friends. And the second we saw each other, well, technically the first time I saw her in person, she was dancing on a table at this place.
I love that.
Which it's a Greek place. And if you know anything about the Greek culture, they stand on tables and dance.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a wild time anyway. And she was already like a couple shots in and I was bone sober. So I saw her and I was like, this is going to be kind of a good time. And that same night, we ended up doing an escape room together. And I took her to her car. I drove my car to take her to her car. And we just kind of exchanged that cute, fuzzy butterfly feeling. And that was our first like quote unquote date. And the next day we hung out on a date. The day after, then the day after. And I shit you not, it's been 7 years and we haven't really spent a day away from each other.
Oh, wow. That makes me so happy.
And the reason I say that whole story is because that's how we kind of thought when we were thinking about names. We're like, we're thinking about our relationship and couples and how does that work? And then of course, Meet Cute popped up. And we're like, should we call it Meet Cute? And then we go, Meet Cute's kind of fun because Meet Cute is that random encounter between two people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what our boxes are doing. Not only are they helping in relationships, but they're taking that random couple and they're introducing local business, also another stranger. And the idea is to couple these two things together to make the relationship stronger and make the business stronger. And, hopefully the business down the road, if you as the member love that item that you got in the box, you're like, oh, this is great. Let me reach out to them personally, like you. So let's say if your item was featured in our box, maybe one of those members would continuously buy items from you, which of course, that's kind of the end all be all goal is to have the relationship and the business have that meet cute feeling, forever.
Do you want to have that meet cute feeling forever? Because I know I sure do. Now's the time for you to be able to win a Meet Cute box for yourself. It's super easy. All you need to do is go on our Instagram, which you should already be following because we're the cutest. Follow us at Gumption Pod and follow at MeetCute Box. Then just tag someone that you think would love Meet Cute Box. It could be your significant other, a partner, a friend, or maybe even someone you're crushing on because I have a sneaky suspicion that this could be a really cute first date idea. That will enter you to win one free Meet Cute box, which you guys, it's $100 value. And like you heard from Tony, there are products from small businesses all over the country, completely unique and one-of-a-kind things that you're really not going to be able to find anywhere else. If you want to get a bonus entry, you can share the post from our Instagram onto your story for one extra entry, and we will announce the winner in next week's episode, so stay tuned for that because you're gonna love this product. If anyone was wondering why I don't sing, it's because I sing like that. But seriously, guys, you need to enter this giveaway. And now back to our interview with Tony.
That's awesome, because I think that brings a really personal element to it as well. You can get to know what products you like and then continue to support someone who's just like doing their thing. I think that's so wonderful. And I loved hearing how you guys met too, because when I was looking at your website, it was so fun to read through the story. And I was like, I can tell they have a good sense of humor just on the About Us page. It was like, we have a perfect story. Yeah, right. And then you laugh. So
we definitely don't have a perfect story. That's for sure. There's a lot of ins and outs, but I think the one thing that has kept us together is we always, when we are about to argue, we're like, what can we do to spark that meet cute feeling? Typically, a lot of people go to like, let's go out to dinner or let's go to a movie, but there's really nothing personal about that. So that's what makes our box and what we bring to our members unique, is we try to make it personal, and you're always going to be doing stuff together. It's not like sitting in the dark movie theater and trying to have a conversation, you know?
it's so interesting. I'm excited to try the product too. I have a question. So what is the process like for choosing the different businesses that you guys use products for in the MeetCute boxes?
Yeah, so a lot of it goes into it. When you first sign up, you create a membership profile. So that gives us a good idea of if you drink alcohol, if you drink caffeine, if you like tea, kombucha, things like that. And then, of course, what your favorite colors are, your color aesthetic, your hobbies with you and your partner. So based off those hobbies, typically is how we like to evolve the date night boxes. Because obviously, if you put you like the outdoors, every month we're not going to give you something that
right
going outside.
Hike in the snow.
Right. But it gives us a good idea of kind of a feel of the type of activities you could do. And then we could base those date nights off that. So for example, what are we in September? So like August, we did a Summer of Love, which was pretty cool. So it was like a 70s themed date night box. So we gave you, I think it was 4 activities total. One was doing a tie-dye shirt together. The other was writing out a bucket list that's realistic. And then you end up doing at least one of those items this month. And then I really like this one. It was dice that we got on Etsy. And you roll the dice randomly, and there's 6 pieces to it. And it gives you different genres of movies. And then another, and then another dice was different restaurants, like Italian, Chinese, etc. So then you can roll the dice and it randomly selects the type of food, but then you actually have to cook that food. You don't go out and eat it. So you cook that food together.
I love that. I think cooking with someone is always so much harder than you think it would be, but it's fun. And the reward is better too when you're not just waiting at a restaurant. You actually had to get all the ingredients and do it yourself.
Cooking together is like building IKEA furniture together. It really makes or break a relationship. But so that's the type of things we do. Is it's different for every member in terms of like aesthetics and look and feel. But the date night usually is the same each month. For instance, you'll get September's date night box when yours comes, but you're never going to get that again. So every month it's different no matter what.
That's incredible. I love that.
So like next September, it won't be the same as it was this September. And to answer your question about how we get the vendors, usually it's about 3 or 4 months in advance where we work with creating date nights first. And we're like, hey, wouldn't this be cool if we did this like Summer of Love type of thing? And then, okay, well, what type of items should be in there? And then based off what we think that date night should be, we reach out to the vendors, or, if it's a farmer's market or Etsy or whatever. And then we, pick up those items about 3 months in advance, and we kind of build a box. We test it at home. We make sure it's a cool date night. And then if it is, then we roll it out to our members. So we kind of always have to stay 3 months ahead, because sometimes, as you know, on Etsy and these small businesses, they don't have, it's not like Amazon, right? Where you can get something in 2 days. So you kind of have to always plan ahead like that.
I like that too, because it makes it more special, the urgency that the item might not exist in 3 months, or someone might have bought the only one.
And it's also kind of scary, by the way.
I'm sure. So I always like to give my listeners some sort of tips or advice, or just some kind of food for thought for them to shake it up, do something a little bit fun. So my question for you would be, what tips would you give them for having gumption in a relationship?
Yeah. That's a good question. I would say the biggest thing, if I could put it in a sentence, would be to just stay connected with each other, whatever that means for you in your relationship. Because one thing we found, especially during the pandemic, when TikTok was on the rise and all that,
Oh
we
yeah.
found ourselves, we found ourselves scrolling aimlessly like a couple zombies. And then we're like, we can't fight the urge to not be on TikTok because TikTok's awesome. Let's just say
Yeah. It's a
it's
great
good.
platform.
It's a really great platform. Personally and professionally, it's so much fun. But then we're like, instead of scrolling aimlessly, why don't we do TikToks together? Why don't we pick XYZ TikTok and let's do that together and let's spend time and let's edit it together and let's post it together. Let's laugh about it. Let's have a
Yeah.
glass of wine. So when we were stuck at home, that was like something we could do that on paper, scrolling on TikTok is pointless to do. But when you do it together and you're connecting and you're laughing and there's endorphins
Yeah.
that, are flying and, you're having these cute feelings with each other. And that's a good example of how to stay connected. And the same is true when you're out and about, when you're at a restaurant or when you're at a movie. Do little things that try to stay connected as much as you can. Hold hands if you never hold hands. Kiss each other in public if you're afraid to kiss each other. Things that are exciting and different because that's going to keep that relationship less mundane and less boring.
I love that. And I think one of the things that I always associate with Gumption too is effort. Just putting in the extra effort that might seem kind of hard to do, or like you said, scrolling on TikTok. Sometimes all I want to do is just sit on the couch and scroll, not even move and just be a zombie for a little while. But I like that just with a little bit of effort, it can become a fun thing for you both to do and not just get sucked into the void of of TikTok, because we've all been there. But what is one example of a Gumption moment in yours and Brenda's love story beyond the first meeting?
Yeah, let's see. Gumption, how we came up with the business and everything we went through. I would say that definitely took some gumption for sure. We had to make an extra effort because we've been through so many ups and downs just over the past 2-3 years. We've realized that when we look at each other and we have honest conversations over the years, that gumption, which I love that word, that gumption really comes from communicating with each other. So like when we are having a bad day or something happens that maybe puts a wrench in our plan, we just got to sit back and evaluate it, think of a plan, and then just do it and do it together. And, Thelma and Louise it. I mean, we're in this thing together. We're married.
Yes, I
Right.
love Thelma and Louise. That is such
Oh,
a
yeah.
great reference. Wow.
It's fantastic. Yeah, what a great lesson, aside from the driving off the cliff, but everything
Wow.
else is great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But that's definitely something we realize is that we are doing this together, but we have to identify that, right? Like if you're married or in your relationship, you don't really think about it too much because you're just going through the motions of being in a relationship. But especially when you're married, it's one of those things that we don't talk about all the time. So sometimes we have to look at each other. We watch our wedding video. We listen to our vows. We do that once or twice a year. And we just say, we're in this together. Let's do this. Yeah, we had to deal with this shit. Okay, whatever. Let's go. How can we come from this? And, doing that shit together and having a partner to do it with, there's something really special in that.
Oh, well, she sounds amazing. That's amazing.
Maybe we can have her on next time. If it's a little bit earlier, she might do it, but now she's in her PJs and she's toast. So
Understandable. I will be in my PJs as soon as this is over. So I respect that.
yeah, thanks. So we're available everywhere. Go on social at MeetCute Box, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're not on Pinterest yet, but that's definitely one of our goals because that's growing, I hear.
Oh, yeah. It's having a resurgence.
Yeah. So that's at MeetCute Box. And then our website is meetcutebox.com, where not only do we offer date night boxes, but we have gift boxes as well. We just had one of our members, matter of fact, that has been with us for a couple months now, and she has a bachelorette party coming up. So she picked up 7 gift boxes that she's going to give to her bachelorettes. So that'll be cool. So we do that as well. And we have a bunch of other, products on the website like gift cards, and we have some unique candles from one of our vendors that have been in our boxes, Freebird Candle Company, and they created some custom, really unique scents like mint mojito and like summer
That's so
breeze.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So occasionally we do sell local products like that. So, and those are starting at like $8, $9. So all that's on meetcutebox.com. And then lastly, we have a podcast called the MeetCute Box Podcast, where I force the wife to get on the microphone and we share some relationship stories and some advice. And we even read a couple blogs from relationship experts on tips to maintain a healthy relationship, including date night ideas and things like that. So that's a lot of fun. That's MeetCute Box, and that's available Spotify, Apple, all that stuff too. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate you being here and taking a chance on me, a new budding podcast. But I feel like I learned so much from you, and it was really inspiring to hear your guys' story. And I am so excited to try the box. Like, I'm checking the mail every single day because it's going to be so much fun. So I'm looking forward to the date night ideas. I'm thinking Murphy's going to like them too. So
Yeah, you will. So thanks again for having me, and let me know what you think about the box when it comes in. And yeah, appreciate all you're doing. So great job. Keep it up.
Here at Gumption, we love a good love story, so I was really appreciative that Tony shared with us how he met Brenda and how they fell in love with this idea of what MeetCute Box could be. Like I said before, it's a $100 value, so it's a steal, and you're supporting small businesses.